Hey, welcome back to another Netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me today for episode number 138, two-way data table to calculate payment, example 2. In example 137, I showed you how to create more or less a two-way data table in Quantrix Modeler to calculate payments, and it worked out pretty slick. I want to show you a different way maybe to calculate some payments and kind of leverage maybe some of the power of Quantrix. So what I'd go ahead and do is create a new matrix here, call it matrix 7. I'm going to add a scenario category here, scenario, okay? I'm going to call this one S1 for scenario 1. Ooh, hold on, let me make sure I'm staying on the right screen. And then I'm going to change this guy to investment here. I'm going to have this be rate, and then after rate it's going to be term or number of months, and then I'm going to have payment. Okay. Now my payment function is going to equal payment of the rate divided by 12. Number of periods is going to be my months, and the principal is going to be my investment. Okay, very similar to what I showed you in the previous episode. So if my investment is 10 grand here and my rate is 5%, and I think I'm going to just make that percentage and then I'll type it in, 5%, and then my months is 60 months, I should get around $189. That's what I would expect. But what I would want to do now is I want to leverage, if you will, the power of Quantrix Modeler. So what I would do is I'd go ahead and I would create another matrix. It's going to be matrix 8, and I'm going to call this, I'm not going to call it anything, maybe I'll call it growth rates or something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag over scenario. It's going to link. That's what that little arrow is going to say, is hey, I linked it just by clicking and dragging. And then what I want is, maybe I'll take S over here. I'm not sure if I want it linked or not, but what I'm going to say is I want to apply maybe growth rates or something to each one of these scenarios, and I want it maybe to be individual or I'm not exactly sure. So what I would do is I'd say, okay, well, my investment really is going to equal the investment of the first investment scenario plus anything that's over here in investment. Okay, so let's say, let me go ahead, and it's going to say it's a circular reference. That's because I need to skip scenario 1 because it's kind of my base scenario. Okay, so I'm going to say, hold on, I'm going to say skip S1, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make S1 here. Let's call it base scenario. Why not? And then I'm going to make my investment 10 grand. And I always like to have my base scenario maybe in blue because I know that's where I'm going to input stuff. And probably make all these guys blue as well. I like to do that just because it allows me, it gives me a visual cue, a visual indicator that, hey, this is an input cell that's kind of a lever that's driving my model. Anyway, so if I wanted to say add $1,000 to, not the base one, but to scenario 2, I would expect to see 11 grand turn out. If I go ahead, you'll be able to see that a little bit easier. Let's say I wanted scenario that one to be 5 grand. Again, it went out and populates exactly the way I would expect it. Let's say I want my growth rate to be, you know, maybe I want this one to be plus another 0.5% or something like that. So I'm going to click percent here, 0.005 for 0.5%. So then what I would do in rate is I would say equals rate scenario first plus this rate here, and then I need to skip the base scenario. Okay, and I would more or less go on and do this again for months. I'm just going to copy this guy, actually paste him, drag him up here, and I'm going to say, hey, this is for months. year rate months, and I'm going to go months over here. So again, if I were to say I wanted to add 12 months to this guy, maybe I want to add only 6 months to this guy. Say I wanted to add 24 maybe to that one. What is that going to look like? I could go ahead and I could collapse this guy because I don't need him, and I can get my different payments. So anyway, that may be something that you want to consider, as it will truly help you kind of understand and grasp the capabilities that are within Quantrix. Maybe to create a data table, or maybe even do something better than a two-way data table here, because this is essentially allowing all of my inputs into that formula to be variables that I can manipulate. Anyway, if you have any questions about Quantrix, I hope that you'll reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. I absolutely love Quantrix. That's why I stay up late till 11:40, way past my bedtime, to make videos, because I want to make you a Quantrix master. So I hope that you will join me for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.